Hello and welcome to Master Prodigy. In this video, I will show you how to edit your TeXstudio theme, and I will be discussing LaTex class files. So here we are where we left off from the first tutorial video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the theme of TeXstudio to have a dark background. So to do that, we go to Options, then in Configure TeXstudio, here at Syntax Highlighting, you can change the colors and so forth to your liking. But I already made my own theme, and I saved the data of that theme, so we are going to go to Options, then we click on Save Profile. Now we just navigate to the directory we had with tutorial video 1. I'm going to create a new folder and call it theme, and inside that folder I'm going to save the file my theme. Now TeXstudio saves this file with the extension .txs profile, so just click on save, and then in the directory you'll see our saved profile file. Okay, so now we just open up that file. To do that, we go to Open, and then inside of Theme, we just click on All Files, and then we select the My Theme file we just created and open it. So I'm just going to close this down a bit. An easy way to open up files, which is much easier and quicker, is just simply to have your destination folder with containing your file you want to open, and then just simply dragging and dropping that file onto your workspace. So that is always how I open up files in TeXstudio. Now we are going to edit this data and then apply it to create our new theme. So I already copied the data and I put it in this note. I will put the link to this note in the description below. So we just select all this data and then we copy it. And now we just simply paste it. Now we paste it underneath version equals 1.0. This version equals 1.0 should be the last line of code within your My Theme file. So you just paste everything we copied underneath the version 1.0 text. And there we go. Now we just click on Save, and then we can close that. So now to apply that theme, which we just created and then edited and saved, we go to Options, and then we click on Load Profile. Now we just select that file we edited, and then we click on Open. Now this will minimize TeXstudio, sort of. Now just go ahead and close it. And now we reopen TeXstudio. And you will see our new theme is applied. So for me, this is much more convenient to work with. The black background is much easier and softer on my eyes, and every command has its own color, and it's much more colorful and convenient to work with. So this is the way I prefer it. If you want to edit some of the colors, or you want to make some subtle changes, you can do that in Configure TeXstudio. You can change the font size. At the moment I have it at 12. I'm going to change the font family to Arial, For me, Arial is a bit easier to read from all the other font types. And then we just click on OK to apply that, and you'll see the changes is applied. Now you can also edit some of the colors if you don't like the colors I have here. You go to syntax highlighting, and then you can edit all the colors you want in here. But I already have everything the way I want it, so I'm going to leave this. Another thing I want to do, I want a number displayed on the side here to show the line numbers. So to do that, we go to show advanced options, and then we just click OK there. Then here at advanced editor, at the top here you will see show line numbers. Then you just click on all line numbers and you click on OK, and then you will see every line has been numbered from 1, which is the first line, up until the bottom most line, which is 123 in my case. So this will become handy when you need to look for errors in your code and edit the code to prevent the errors from occurring. Okay, and that is it for editing the theme of TeXstudio. Now we move on to class files. So a class file is a file which defines several commands that sets the structure of your document and the format and layout of the page. So here we loaded the report class file, and we specified one option of that class file, which was the font size, which we specified as 12 point. Now your LaTex distribution, which in my case is TeXstudio, comes pre-installed with several class files, one of which is obviously report. But now we are going to create our own class file. To do that, we just click on new, and I'm just directly going to save this. I'm going to save the file with the name my class. And remember, I said in the first tutorial video that if you do not add an extension, TeXstudio will save it by default with a .tex extension. But we want the .cls extension, which is a class file extension. So we just add .cls at the end. And a class file must be saved in the same directory in which your main.tex file is located. So we just click on save there, and you will see that we now have our class file. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this theme folder because the theme is already applied. It's not necessary to keep that around anymore. Now, a class file always contains the first two commands, which is needs tex format, and then inside the curly brackets you type in LaTex 2e. That's the first command that's required for a class file. The second command we require for a class file is the provides class command. And inside the curly brackets we type in the name of your file, which is my class. So these two commands, like you see it here, is always what you will require in your class files. And then usually we add a third command, which is load class. And right now I'm going to load the class reports. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and save that. So right now, my custom class file, which I just created, is identical to the report class because I just loaded all the commands and options of the report class. So if we replace report with my class, we can run this and our document will be exactly the same since my class is now identical to the report class. And as you can see, nothing has changed. So the first command here tells the compiler which version of LaTeX the class is for. The current version is LaTeX 2e. LaTeX 3 is currently under development, but for now we need to use LaTeX 2e. The second command gives the compiler some information about your class. This first argument should match the file name, and it tells LaTeX what your class is called. And this third command loads the specified class and loads all the commands and styles defined in it into my class. So as you can see, we define 12.text for my class. We can also, if we take this out, we can just go ahead and define the 12.text directly in our class itself. So you just add 12 point there. And if we save this and run this, you will see the text size is also, it remains the same. So we can also load packages inside of classes. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it inside of my class. Now, in a class file, you can't use the command use package like you can in a TeX file. Instead, we need to load a package, we need to use the command require package. So using used package in a class file will just give you errors. So just replace everything with require package. And then in our main TeX file, we can delete these use package commands because now our packages are loaded inside of our class. And there we go. So if we save this and we run this, still no changes to our document. Everything will still be the same. So you can see that now that we have specified all these options inside of our class file, there is now no need to specify all the options in the preamble. So our class file greatly reduces the complexity of our preamble. So this is very convenient. Now, just a note to take that LaTeX commands are case sensitive. So if we change this p to a lowercase p, you'll see that it even changes color. LaTeX does not recognize this command anymore. So if we save this and we try and run this, we will just get errors. And we get all sorts of errors. The first error is it does not recognize the command require package with the lowercase letter p. And since it did not load the package, we also get additional errors because now it also does not recognize the chmfig command. So just make sure your commands are typed with the right lowercase and uppercase letters. So when we rerun it, we will have no more errors. Alright, and then we can go ahead and close the message log. Now an additional argument we can add in the provide class command at the end between square brackets is the date and some information about our class. So we can type in the date, which is, I'm just going to type in today's date, which is 2017/09/30, and we can go ahead and save that. Now usually we also type in just some additional information after the date. I'm just going to type in technical report. So this second argument is purely optional. It provides a description of your class which will appear in the log among other places. The description must begin with a date, and the format must be of the form year. So the first 4 digits is a year, and then the 2 digits in the middle is the month, and the 2 final digits is the day. So this date must be that format, and then after the date you just add, you don't even need to add anything after the date, but you can just add technical report, or if you are creating a class for writing a book, you can type in there book or something. So we can go ahead and save this. So the date you add here should be the date when you created or when you last edited your class file. This can be used when loading the class in your document to check that you have the most recent version of your class. So in the main tech file, here at the document class command, so this command tells LaTeX which class file to load for your document. Now a second argument, also in square brackets, which is also optional, you can type in the date here, and the date you type in here is the date in which you last expected your class file to have been edited. So right now I'm going to type in the same date that we typed in our class file. So let us say, for example, that we have an outdated class. So let's change this date to 2016. And now when we run our document, the code will execute normally, but in our message log, we will get a warning. And this warning will basically say that we are using an outdated class, because the date specified in the class, it's an earlier date we specified in our main tech file. So this is very handy for when you have, for example, a class file which is regularly updated and edited, and you need to make sure you have the most recent version of that class file. So it's just very handy. So if we then change this date to 2016, we will have no more warnings saying that the class file is outdated, since these two dates are now matching. And I saw another warning here, which is saying overfull horizontal box, and it is appearing on line 46. So we just run through our code at line 46. Okay, so this is the equation which was too long. So that command specifies this equation. Now that equation, since it's a very long equation, it's running off of the page here. So LaTeX is just warning us that we have a box. There's like an imaginary box around this equation, but the text is running over the box and over the edge of the page. So LaTeX is just warning you that you have an overfull horizontal box. So this is also handy in the log to check that if you do not want any boxes that are overfull. So we can close this up. So there we go. That is everything I have to say about classes. So you can see that a class file greatly simplifies the code in your preamble. So by adding code in a different file, we greatly reduce the complexity of our main text file. So we can continue this train of thought, and we can create a bunch of additional files. So let's say we create a new file and we copy all the text which makes up chapter 1, and we paste it within that file. We can now go ahead and delete chapter 1 here. Okay, so now we just save this and we call the file chapter 1. And then we have the chapter 1 text within a file called chapter 1. Now we can just simply use the command input, and then within the curl brackets we type in the directory and the file name we are looking for. So since the file chapter 1 is in the same directory as our main text file, we can just simply type in the file name there. And then when we run our code, we will still have chapter 1 within our document. So basically, what the input command does is it takes all the content of chapter 1 and it basically inserts it in your main text file. So we can continue this and put the content of chapter 2 within another file. So it ends there. So we copy that, then we create a new file, paste that there, and we save it as chapter 2. Now we just go ahead and delete all the content of chapter 2. And we just load the file chapter 2. And when we run this, all chapter 2's content will also be displayed within our document. So we can do this for the other 3 chapters as well. I'm just going to do this. And there we go. We just created 5 files called chapter 1 through chapter 5. And each file contains its relevant chapter. And then we just simply loaded each one of the files with a command input. So when we execute this code, our document will remain exactly the same. will contain all 5 chapters, as well as a list of tables, list of figures, and our table of contents. So you can see how this reduces the complexity of our main text file. So now it's much easier to work with. This is much more intuitive for me to work like this. If you want to change something in chapter 4, for example, you can just edit your code like you wish here. And then when you save this file and you run your main text file again, it will just update your document. So this is much more convenient since I am writing documents and books of hundreds and sometimes even more than 1,000 pages. So to type in 1,000 pages worth of code in one document would be quite ludicrous. So this is a much more preferable way of working for me. Alright, and then just one additional note to take is regarding file names. So I'm just going to go ahead and close these 5 chapter files. And let's say we change a file name. Let's say we change chapter 4 and we change it to a name with a space in between. So this is technically a 2-word file. And when we change that file name accordingly, there's now a space between the 2 words. So when we try and run our code now, we will get errors because LaTeX does not recognize file names with this command, at least, that is more than 1 word. So just always make sure that your file names is continuous or 1 word. So to avoid any possible conflicts and errors in the future, I always name all my files with 1 word, so I never have spaces in between my files. So we just change this back, and then you will see there are no more errors. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that's it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video, and remember, always stay curious.